Hi, students. I was helping some people in office hours today and realized that this was a typo in this problem. And so Mr. Tomlinson kindly just ignored the typo and processed it as intended or solved it as I'd intended. But I just wanted to talk about this and the sort of idea of a sine inverse function and why this doesn't really make sense because obviously this is a ratio. And so for a sine inverse function, what we take in is a ratio, and what we get out is an angle. And conversely, the inverse of that is that the sine function takes in an angle and gives out a ratio. So that's why this doesn't make so much sense. This is really saying what ratio is there that would have an angle of negative a half? So that would be negative a half radians. I mean, I could solve it. I could say that there's some angle out there, or sorry, there's some ratio that matches to an angle of negative half a radian. So if this is my radius, then here's my arc length that matches it. So half a radian is about there, negative a half is there. So then what's that ratio is as written what this is asking, but that's not what we intended. What we intended was sine inverse of negative a half is what angle. So this is really what we wanted you to find. And so again, I'm going to use my unit circle and know that my sine function is, let's line that up. So when I'm thinking about sine inverse, to make it a function, then I'm only taking in the ratios that go from -1 to +1. And I look in quadrants 4 and 1, and I go from -π/2 to +π/2. Anything else would be not a function anymore for sine inverse. So negative a half is this angle here when my y value is negative a half. And of course, we know that that angle is -π/6, or at least I hope you know that.